Welcome to the special edition of the Axe Academy. Depending on when you're listening to this, it's right around old St. Paddy's Day. Actually, I just was faking the Irish accent. I'm talking about luck. I mean, you might be listening to this on St. Patrick's Day or around St. Patrick's Day, but I think lots of things that we say are lucky, that happen to people, it's really not luck at all. I'm going to give you 2 reasons why I'm really questioning this whole thing called luck. I mean, we celebrate at St. Patrick's Day because he really lived these 2 reasons. And you don't have to be Irish to celebrate this, but you do have to be intentional. So my question, will you be lucky? Let's find out how. Okay, welcome to the special edition of the AXECAST. If you haven't checked out the latest episode on leadership, please do so. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, if you're a student or supporter of the Axe Academy, make sure you get to the exclusive extended episode and get your questions in as we journeyed through what makes a leader good. Not just good leadership, but what makes a leader good. Now, if you're listening to this special edition, please take a second and rate and maybe even review this. And if you're new to the Axe Academy or not a supporter of it, make sure you check out theaxeacademy.com. Also remember one other thing, every new student or supporter that happens this month, we will feed a child in the developing world for the entire month on your behalf and send someone waiting for a Bible through one of our partners, Share Word Global and Feed One. You can check them directly on our website for more information as how they're changing the world. St. Patrick's Day, the Day of Green, the day that's associated with the Irish or the luck of the Irish. More than 100 St. Paddy's Day parades are in the U.S. alone. It is the oldest civilian and largest parade in the U.S. Over 1,000 years, the Irish have observed this as a religious holiday. I mean, even when they would be partaking in Lent or Lent, as I have found out that that's actually how you're supposed to say it, not Lent, but it's actually Lent. You would take a break from Lent. It's about a 40-day season leading up to Easter where you give away on Ash Wednesday, or my favorite day is Fat Tuesday before Ash Wednesday, but you would stop eating meat, depending on, sort of your commitment or consecration. And what I love about St. Patrick's Day is the Irish would actually take a break from Lent and they would eat meat, drink, dance. They would feast, the traditional meal of Irish bacon and cabbage. So you can see if you're on a 40-day Lenten sort of observance and then you get this one day to eat bacon and cabbage, dance and drink, I would like that holiday as well. I'm actually on tour right now with Wren Collective. Great group of people, I must say. But it is true. Chris, Gareth, Stephen, Patrick, Allie, all of them really like Lucky Charms. Now, I like Lucky Charms, but not because of the cereal, but because of the marshmallows. If you're like me, you think the cereal actually tastes like crap, but you just eat it for the marshmallows. There's nothing wrong with that. You are 100% normal. Okay, but St. Patrick's Day. Do you know that in 1962, the Chicago River was even dyed green, and they used so much vegetable dye, like over 100 pounds, went into the river that it turned green for a week? Now, they dye the river now, but it's only for a few hours. They use way less, only 40 pounds. So, but I would like to actually have been there for that first moment when they had it green for a week. They were thinking, what did we do? But St. Patrick's Day really celebrates this guy named St. Patrick. He's the patron saint of Ireland. St. Patrick is famous, and he's also got a couple myths associated with him. One of my favorites is the account of the snakes, where St. Patrick chased all of the snakes off of Ireland, the Emerald Isle, after a 40-day fast. He went and he booted all the snakes off the coast, and then there was never any more snakes on the island again. Well, the fossil record actually shows that there were never any snakes there to begin with, but in traditional Irish Gaelic storytelling, over 100 years, that story has been stretched a time or two. But the fact is, St. Patrick died on March 17th, in 460 AD. This is after the birth of Christ. He was actually born British. That's something that I don't think we always realize. You know, we think about St. Patrick's Day, we get dressed in green, St. Patty's, and all the clovers and the shamrocks and the shamrock shakes. Don't even get me started on those. Thank you, McDonald's. Why can't that be every day of every year? But really, he's born British. I think we fail to highlight this. He's taken then by a group of Irish raiders. He's got 6 years in prison, and then God speaks to him to escape. I love that part of the story, by the way. Like, God tells him to break out of jail. Just like God told me to go to McDonald's after this special edition of AXECAST and just get a shamrock shake. God speaks to him then after he escapes to actually go back to Ireland, but this time as a missionary. Now here's what you got to catch. 15 years later, St. Patrick goes back to Ireland. So he's born British. He's taken by a group of Irish raiders. He's in prison. He escapes from prison. And then he's actually destined to go back as a missionary, but 15 years later. He's studying. He's preparing. What I love about when he goes back is St. Patrick incorporated traditional Irish rituals into Christianity. Rather than being Christian Irish from a real way, he ministered Irish Christian. I love that about the gospel in this setting, where it was something that was impacting the setting, but also let the setting be what it was. I'll give you a couple examples. On Easter, instead of using eggs, St. Patty used fire. I love that. The Irish, they actually celebrated their gods with fire, so St. Patrick actually said, well, instead of eggs, let's just keep the fire thing rolling. Second example, he placed a sun, a very sacred Irish symbol, onto a cross, and then the Celtic cross was born. One of my favorites, though, was the three-leaf clover, or shamrock. It's a Gaelic word. It actually means little clover. Now, the botanists will argue till the day is long, or till they're green in the face, pun intended on the green. But those that study plants actually disagree on what the real or true shamrock was. But most botanists, at the end of the day, would say that the white clover is probably the original shamrock of this whole Irish symbolic heritage. But what I love about the three-leaf clover is St. Patrick actually used this as an image lesson all over Ireland of how to teach the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It was the object lesson that was everywhere. All you had to do was bend down and just pick a three-leaf clover and say, God is like this. Now, others have stated faith, hope, and love. I 100% agree with that as well. It became an image lesson that St. Patrick used. But in that three-leaf clover, we find this concept of luck, because there exists the elusive four-leaf clover. This is actually where we get luck from. The four-leaf clover, it's an uncommon sort of variation of a three-leafed white clover. Uncommon, meaning luck. I mean, it's lucky to find one. You can't find a four-leaf clover quite as copious or prevalent or in mass amount as a three-leaf clover. So when you do find one, it's just simply uncommon. It's flat out lucky. It's really a mutation of a three-leaf clover. So this mutation doesn't happen all the time. So it's really not in abundance. So it's considered lucky. You're getting the point. So let's talk a little bit about this concept called luck. Because most of the things that we see happen to people that we say are lucky, I'll just simply say it's not luck at all. Most of the times that we refer to as luck, it really has little to do with luck in the first place. Most of the fruit that we see in people's life didn't happen by some sort of uncommon mutation. So let's talk a little bit about luck. I think these first two keys, or these two reasons, why I think luck, well, frankly, doesn't happen, is the same reason why we celebrate St. Patrick. Here we go. The first is this. When it comes to luck, make your own. Make your own luck. St. Patrick is captured. He doesn't give up. He's in prison for 6 years. Not the kind of prison where you get to go out in the yard and you get to go bowling and you get these conjugal visits from your spouse. And it's not that kind of prison. It is a dark, dank, mid-century sort of that thing that you've seen on maybe Lord of the Rings with the chains and the walls and the rats. 6 years, he doesn't give up. He actually even fights to escape. He claws his way out of there, somehow like the proverbial escape from Alcatraz, but then only to go back. St. Patrick, we forget this. He escapes from prison, and then he goes back to the people that imprisoned him. He studied for 15 years, and then he goes back to the very people that imprisoned him. He goes back to what he was called to do, what he was made to do, what he wanted to do, what he was passionate about doing. St. Patrick went and made his own luck. So be intentional about what you're preparing for, how you're learning, what your real mission is. Looking beyond the fear of being imprisoned again, you gotta understand that he goes back, and in that, we see him make a little bit of his own luck. I mean, he's born a Brit, but he becomes an Irish icon. I don't think that happened with luck. So your big break may happen, but it won't be luck. You will be prepared. You will be positioned. You will be about people. If you choose this, as the Irish have, to work hard and remember your mission, your future, and your past, and move into what you're made to do, you start making your own luck. The second reason is uncommon does not always equal luck. First, make your own luck, and second, uncommon does not equal luck. The four-leaf clover, the shamrock, is not common, thus it's lucky. So let's just briefly pause on one thing that is common today. There's lots of stuff we could talk about, but what is common today or all over the place? Cell phones. In 2015, the number of cell phones exceeded the people on Earth. Today, more people have cell phones than have toilets. 55% of people text when they drive. 15% of people use their cell phone in the shower. 40% of Americans check their phone while they're going number 1 or 2 on the toilet. That'll make you think about borrowing someone's phone. So what is uncommon? I mean, if that's common, what is uncommon? Well, increasingly not being addicted to social media. Letting life just pass us by. Being intentional about our own personal growth and development. Not living so distracted. Living a life that's faithful to work and rest. Being a human being, not just a human doing. I think uncommon will never equal luck, but uncommon will always equal intentional. How are you being intentional with the things that culture declares as uncommon? The good things that build our life and the life around us. How are you being intentionally uncommon in those areas? I'll just say, happy St. Patrick's Day. And lots of things that we say are lucky, that happen to lucky people, man, I don't think it's luck at all. They made their own luck. They lived uncommon. You don't have to be Irish to celebrate that. You don't have to be from Ireland to celebrate that. You don't have to eat shamrock shakes or drink green beverages. All you have to do is be intentional. Be intentional in the luck that you make and the life that you live. It's not common at all. The question then is, will you be lucky? Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. And I'll just simply say, frankly, that's why I created the Axe Academy. I want to equip a generation of millennials that want to make their life count and help them make a little of their own luck along the way. To discover the axe that is sharp in 7 areas of their life, so they don't have to live common. They can see the uncommon, and we can celebrate them. Once again, happy St. Patrick's Day.